Welcome to the Academy's 55th commencement, the culmination of our 59th year serving our students and community. What an honor to be here with you all as we celebrate the class of 2014. What an honor for us all to be associated with them and our school. With this ceremony, we proclaim and certify that another group of Academy Chargers is ready to serve country and community with wisdom, conviction, and compassion. And as you know, many of them have begun this noble task already. I've been sitting in your chairs for the past month while attending the college graduations of my daughters, Elizabeth and Corinne. It's fascinating to listen to others take on these tasks and to see the similarities and the differences within different academic communities as they honor their graduates. Since I'm pretty experienced at these ceremonies at this point, I've been to over 50 in my life, I know what to expect at graduations. Though I had heard so many speeches before, I was looking forward to them again at my daughter's graduations. I really enjoy them. I know these speeches often return to similar themes and cliches can occur at times, and I plead guilty, completely guilty myself. But the speakers mean what they say. They are earnest, and they are often bursting with messages that they hope will be remembered for the benefit of the graduates and society for years to come. Our seniors, by the way, were blessed on Thursday to hear faculty member Melanie Peterson give a speech at our senior faculty luncheon that rivals any speech I've heard at an actual graduation, so it's a bonus year for them. I know, class of 2014, that you'll remember Ms. Peterson's spirit as she delivered her comments, but I also hope you'll remember the message of her comments for a long time, even if she did make observant points about how goofy you were at times back in 8th grade and how, collectively, by the end of the day, you struggled with some body odor problems. Don't feel bad. This isn't uncommon, just another part of the cycle of life here. And Mrs. Watson tells me that your Axe cologne masked the problem very well. Anyway, it was with a great deal of anticipation that I sat down to listen at the other graduations I attended this spring, but then the emotions kicked in. You become such a dad, such a mom, such a grandparent, a sister or brother, or a friend when the ceremony begins. Your eyes seek out the one you love sitting up front. You see a baby, a child, and an adult walk across the stage when your loved one's name is called. Memory roars, emotions swell, life becomes focused and intense and beautiful. The rite of passage unfolds, full of promise for the future, but also sadness about what is being left behind, childhood, and the safety arising from proximity to home, loved ones, and a caring, trusted school. At moments during ceremonies like this, your heart just bursts. That certainly happened to me this year, sometimes even as school songs I had never heard before were sung. With all these feelings, no wonder it's hard at times to remember the actual words spoken at graduations, but the feeling remains for a long time, rekindled whenever you attend another graduation down the road. Today, I and we share these feelings with you, friends and family, with an added sense of accomplishment, for we're very proud of these young men and women. You always can do more in education and parenting, but as we look together at the class of 2014, we can be pleased about the work we've all done to support them, and we can feel intense pride in the work that they've done, the challenge they've accepted, and the differences they've made for others as they grow up together. The Academy and the class of 2014 have so many people to thank today. It starts with parents and families. As we share such warm feelings about the class of 2014, I have to thank you, parents, grandparents, family members, and friends, for the support you've provided these students and for the support you've provided the school. Your volunteerism, philanthropy, and good parenting all helped build the class of 2014. You sent us students prepared to meet a challenge, and they met it. I mention this often, and it is true. I've never seen such a selfless level of service from parents in the schools I've served, and increasingly, I've never seen folks having so much fun doing it. Raising children and supporting a family is very hard and often physically and emotionally exhausting work. And then to give even more volunteer effort to and through a school on behalf of students, it's incredible, parents, and heartwarming, and it's vital to the strength of our school and our students. So we thank you, Academy families. Class of 2014, I've noticed that you are uncommonly strong at privately thanking others in your life. Now might be a good time, though, to join me in publicly thanking all of the family members here today for their love and support for so long. I know, seniors and families, that you have great affection for the faculty and staff members seated here today. Our conversations during the senior appraisals often focused emotionally on the impact these adults have made in your lives. An educator's job is never really done, for there's always more you can do. But as we conclude the academic year, I'm proud to say that this talented and caring group of adults has again done its best to change lives of our students for the better. Class of 2014, friends and family, let me also ask that you join me in saluting the faculty and staff of Albuquerque Academy on a job very well done. While staff members plow right back into work for the summer program and planning for the next academic year, and this summer, our faculty members embark on the most ambitious course of professional development I've seen since I've been here. 3 of our faculty members have completed their classroom work this year. Let me honor them in 2 steps. First, please join me in thanking Dr. Susie Tingey and Margaret McGowan for the excellence of their work and the commitment of their lives for their students. And now, of course, an amazing concluding moment in the history of our school. Please hold your applause for a minute until I make a request and say a few things. Daryl, as we remain silent for a moment, would you please stand and gaze around at your school, your students, your colleagues, your faculty friends, your community. Witness to all but 6 of the Academy's graduations over his 49 years here. Brilliant teacher, counselor, and coach to thousands, a majority of the students who have ever attended the Academy. Loyal friend to colleagues and passionate spokesman and protector of our mission of excellence and accessibility, would you please join me to thank Daryl Gage for a career of unparalleled commitment and excellence in education. Will there ever again be a career like Daryl's at our school? Another long-serving group deserves notice here today, our Board of Trustees sitting here in front. From an initial board of 5 men overseeing a very small school challenged financially back in the early days, this self-perpetuating group has wisely guided the school's growth through 3 campuses, from single-sex to co-education, always upwards towards the excellence and generosity of our mission, and now to our current size and place in the national independent school movement. They work tirelessly as volunteers, selflessly on behalf of our community, and as creatively as any independent school board I've seen. In all of this successful work, they're generally unheralded, except by those who understand the vital role that boards play in assuring the goodness and excellence of an independent school. Today is the right time to honor them. Please stand, board members, and let us thank you and Treasurer Gary Gordon for the unbroken chain of effort you've made on behalf of students and our mission and our region to ensure that Albuquerque Academy will remain strong forever. Two special notes about the board. After 15 years, the maximum service of an Academy trustee, Sarah Kochin will be leaving the board this year. We will miss her wise counsel and community-minded personality. And board chair, Walter Stern, who you'll hear from soon, after 5 intense years of leading the board, will step back to his trustee duties to be replaced by alum Adam Honegger. Walter's efforts have been extraordinary, with the mission always in mind and supporting your children always in his heart. Please join me in thanking them both. The challenging work of today's Academy takes the efforts of everyone I mentioned so far today, but this work wouldn't even be taking place if it wasn't for the great dream and generosity of an historical New Mexican family. Each year at graduation, we pause to reflect upon the fact that we are here because of the Sims family. We even pause to wonder where we might be right now, this minute, if the Sims hadn't committed themselves to providing the very best in independent education to New Mexico students. It was an idealistic and generous gift, over 50 years old now, but so powerful that it lives on today in all of our lives. Your life, my life, our students' lives. It spurred on our school's idealism for decades and changed thousands of lives for the better. It's fitting that we honor the Sims today, particularly with the class of 2014 present, for there's no class that has been more supported by our endowment and our mission. Given the kindness and generosity I've seen in this class lately, I suspect that they'll make it a priority in their lives to support education in their families and society for the rest of their lives. So we honor the Sims today, represented by Albert and Barbara's daughter, Maggie, her daughter, Francie Goodart, from the class of 88, and we thank them so much. Albert and Barbara were planning on attending today as well, but they ultimately couldn't make it. They always want those seats right back there on the aisle, just to get the best look at our graduates as they enter and exit the tent. We reserve these seats now and forever for members of the Sims family, and we'll never forget the difference they've made in our lives. Please join me in honoring this inspiring family, the Sims. And my final thanks and tribute. We build great lives and great traditions here over time, particularly now as our alumni body moves forward in life. In the final analysis, the measurement of our worth is simply the lives of our graduates. You know many of them now. You'll know more of them in the future. Could I have all Albuquerque Academy alumni in the audience today, including in our faculty, please stand? Keep going strong, Chargers, and keep supporting each other, your families, and the Academy throughout your lives. So seniors, what a journey from your first day on campus, giggling and wide-eyed as you entered the gym, to yesterday, back in the gym, in pretty much the same seats, rehearsing for this ceremony after eating one last burrito provided by the Parents Association. You kept smiling as we agonizingly explained the ceremony, and then so kindly acknowledged and honored an amazing classmate with a surprising and wonderful gift. Seniors, you're classy. You've left your mark on the Academy. Like your predecessors, you graduate as one of the strongest classes in the country again this year, but more and more it appears to me that we want to praise you most for every time you've tried your best, every time you've pulled a teammate up with you, every time you've pulled yourself up after a disappointment. These abilities have been the key to your success, and they'll be vital for you in the future. Many of you have been through some very tough times growing up. What you've accomplished against this backdrop is truly impressive. Your acts of kindness match your academic achievements. They've changed your lives as much as they've changed the lives of those you served. And the support you provided each other in moments of unbearable loss, it just seems instinctual in you. It helps define your goodness. And finally, your gratitude, seniors, in the conversations we shared during appraisals. It took my breath away at times as you searched for the right words and found them. I hope you know that we are grateful in return for the chance to make a difference in your lives. And now the rest of your lives. Do I have any doubts that you'll be challenged? No, for the world is very challenging these days. But I also have few doubts that you'll succeed. And I know that many of you will be astonished at how well you fare as you take on your next academic steps forward. Advice, it's simply this. First of all, continue. Continue to be yourselves with all of your widely diverse interests and idiosyncrasies. Continue to care for others, to think more than know, to listen more than speak. And remember, to please remember some of the more fatherly advice I passed along last week. You guys are full of wonder, so don't let those bogged down in the status quo constrain your imagination. In the words of our mission, again and always, serve country and community with wisdom, conviction, and compassion. And though you giggled a bit yesterday as I explained it, today, when you shift your tassel over to above your heart, think of your friends, your family, and your school, and all of our love for you and your love in return. This is what a good life is all about. It's been an honor and a pleasure to know you and serve you. Farewell and thank you, class of 2014. I'm very pleased now to introduce our student speakers as they represent their classmates. Our first speaker, Senior Class President Mackenzie Fowler, yearbook leader, community servant at the highest level, firm in her faith, always upbeat. Mackenzie, in the word of one of her academic comments, is simply a delightful person. She's kind, helpful, respectful, and funny. In the words of her senior appraisal, Mackenzie simply tries to show love to everyone around her. We all look forward to her comments and then look forward to hearing how she takes on the University of Oklahoma by storm next year. Mackenzie.
Hello, everyone. Okay, so 7 years ago, many of us thought that the most important moment of our lives was finding this letter in our mailbox, our acceptance letter into the Albuquerque Academy. But now, 7 years later, we see that it was just the first of many moments here that have shaped who we are. Walking down the path together for the last time as classmates, it became clear to me that there isn't any other group of seniors that I would rather share this final day with. This really doesn't feel like it's happening. We have these caps and gowns on, but it feels more like we're playing dress up with our parents' fancy clothes in their closets. But except this time, we aren't pretending. This is real. We're sitting here desperately trying not to fidget and expose our nerves through our curls and bow ties. And we're hoping our parents don't catch us sneezing, trying to take a candid picture. And we're praying that our high heels don't give up on us as we grab our diplomas. And mentally reminding ourselves to don't forget the tassel. But these small worries that we're all sharing were nothing compared to the worries on our first day here at Academy. When I started the 6th grade, I didn't actually feel like I was starting over. I had a safety net of people whom I had gone to school with for almost my entire life. But with that safety net, I didn't force myself to expand. I remember ending my first year with the realization that I could only name about half the people in my class, an unfortunate result of that pinon-juniper pod rivalry. I have this distinct memory of sitting on my bed at the end of 6th grade year with the brand new yearbook on my lap. I first looked through the senior pages. It was the class of 2008, and I couldn't believe that we went to the same school. The seniors looked so old and mature. They were adults in my eyes. I remember thinking, I can't wait until we're that old. Maybe the boys will be more mature by then. Of course, my perception of senior maturity was shattered this year as soon as I started coaching the boys' powder puff dance. Yes, you have to wear more than cowboy boots and booty shorts. No, you cannot thrust your hips like that. Okay, fine, you can pretend Walker's your horse. But at the end of 6th grade, how was I to know that these mature adults were really just rambunctious teenagers? So after I explored the senior class, I flipped to our class full of kids barely out of elementary school. I remember staying up that night memorizing every person's name in our class. My goal was to use 7th grade as an opportunity to get to know all of you. I felt a little weird sometimes going out of my way to say hi to someone whom I had never talked to, but it was the best decision I've ever made here at Academy. I stepped out of my comfort zone, and because of that, I've made some of my best friends. Being able to know everyone is something I will look back on and be thankful for. We've all shared small moments together, like that ex-ed trip in 7th grade when we watched the sunrise on our special rock overlooking the city. Or that first time we tripped on a loose brick walking up to the library and didn't know whether to pretend it didn't happen or just awkwardly laugh out of embarrassment. Or in 6th grade, when we'd send each other instant messages in computer class through the instant messaging system until the school had to disable it. Or doing the Soldier Boy dance every time it came on 93.3. Or better yet, our reactions when we realized what it was talking about when we looked it up on Urban Dictionary. Or the times we'd walk by Miss Leiden and Mr. Schifani's door and we'd instinctually check our clothes to make sure we were in dress code, even if it was the dead of winter and we were wearing jeans and a sweatshirt. Or our walks up from the science building junior year, or watching The Bachelor on Monday nights, venting about Juan Pablo. Swing dancing in the Commons after our senior holiday party, standing around the campfire singing Wagon Wheel, or racing down the water slide as the juniors looked on jealously on their way to class. Each of these moments has made us closer as a class, and even if just for a moment, it's these memories that we're going to take with us next year. But as our future comes rushing towards us, we should all remember to put ourselves out there, get out of your comfort zone, and say hi to people you don't know. Don't be scared of new challenges. Fall in love even if it hurts, because that's the only way you'll know you gave it all you have. Do something daring and don't be afraid. When life gets overwhelming, stand strong. One Republic puts it perfectly when they say, "I hope that you don't suffer, but take the pain. I hope when the moment comes, you'll say, I did it all. I owned every second that this world could give, and with every broken bone, I swear I lived." It's going to be scary at times next year. For many of us, it will be the first time in 7 years that we won't have each other by our side. I know at this point we're all ready for something new. We're all ready to face that college world, but deep down, we know that there is at least something here, whether it's our favorite teacher that we could sit and talk with for hours, or our best friends, the red brick path, loose bricks and all, or the constant struggle to find a cheer that straddles the line between riling up the pious student section and not riling up Miss Roth and Coach Batches. We all have something here that we're going to miss. But I hope that we all take that and realize that it's okay. It's okay that we miss our time here, because that means we had something here good enough to miss. So I go back to that moment when we received that acceptance letter into Academy. That letter meant so much more than we thought it did while ripping open the envelope. It meant that we would all get the opportunity to spend the next years of our lives together. Now we all have these, our college acceptance letters, and they mean so much more than we think they do now. They mean leaving the people that we've grown up with. But let's take a moment and not look forward or behind and live in the present. In the words of Charlie from Perks of Being a Wallflower, these will all be stories someday, and our pictures will become old photographs. We'll all become somebody's mom or dad, but right now, these moments are not stories. This is happening. So let's not forget to make this last summer count. Let's make stories, let's take pictures, let's laugh and enjoy our time together. We have all of next year to think about the future and to remember our time here, but this summer, let's live.
Beautiful, Mackenzie. It's a lovely speech, and it's been lovely living with you and your classmates for the last few years. We have co-presidents of our Student Senate this year, and they've both made quite a mark on the school. Claire Archerbeck opened the year with a wonderful speech at convocation, though she confessed that her fears about public speaking in the speech. And yet, right before our eyes, she pulled it off like a professional. Her gracious welcome to our new students set the tone for the year. Beyond her leadership, Claire is a model student as well, pursuing a rigorous course of study, devoted to cross-country and track, playing in the orchestra, making the community service honor roll, like Mackenzie, and sharing a smile and graciousness that brightens every room. Notre Dame will greatly benefit from her presence next year. Claire.
Thank you. Good morning. I want to thank all of you for joining us here today. I know this almost goes without saying, but no one would be standing up here on this stage if it wasn't for all the support that each and every one of you has given us since day one. Family, friends, and especially our amazing faculty, on behalf of the class of 2014, thank you. Sometimes when I'm sitting in the Commons, I look around and I am amazed. I see a place where we celebrate the accomplishments of mathletes with the same passion that we do the athletes. I see a place where people's individual biases disappear in favor of the class as a whole. I see a place where sometimes I stop and wonder, who even are we? And then it hits me. None of us are the slightest bit normal. At Academy, we refuse to conform to the status quo because being normal basically means being average, and being content with being average is absolutely not what the Academy has taught us. And we've learned to do this in the absolute best way possible, whether it's in our nature or not. While I was reflecting on our collective craziness, I was also in awe because I saw talented artists working on the most beautiful locker murals I've ever seen, and I heard live music from our many competing bands, supplemented by some beautiful mandolin. And at basketball games, I saw the fierce and unbelievably aggressive look in people's eyes during Redout as we cheer on what is undeniably the best basketball team in the city. I could go on and on about people who are YouTube sensations on their way to fame, the mock lawyers who will soon become Atticus Finches, the Rocket Club scientists who will soon become, well, actual rocket scientists. But that would go on for hours. So maybe now you can understand why I was scared of giving a graduation speech, since traditionally this speech is meant to give advice to the graduating class. I've spent hours thinking about what advice I could give, and I knew I could tell you to live life to the fullest, or chase your dreams, or try not to fail, but really, why on earth would you take advice from me? I'm just another 18-year-old student who doesn't have a high school diploma yet, doling out cliched life advice that we could all probably find inside a fortune cookie. So I thought and thought, and here's the thing, I'm not going to give advice. To be honest, I have absolutely no idea what's coming for me. I don't know what job I want, I don't know what I want to study. But there's no doubt in my mind that whatever comes for me, I can handle it. Because the last 7 years here have not been easy. But I'm going to channel everything it's taken to make it this far, the ingenuity, determination, assertiveness, and attitude, but ramp it up. There's no secret formula for success. Nothing I could tell you that you haven't already heard a million times. There are 148 students standing behind me that have proven the class of 2014 is capable of anything, because of our parents and our amazing education we have received here at Albuquerque Academy. So class of 2014, congratulations, and I cannot wait to see what we will accomplish. Thank you.
Thank you, Claire. So Eric Lee, he's done all right at the Academy. Oh, you've heard about this. Well, actually, quite a bit more than that. One of the strongest students and community members we've known here, his academic performance, both in our classrooms and in national competitions in science and in writing, is matched by the breadth of his activities here. Newspaper editor, Science Bowl, national champion with his teammates, Student Senate, and the impact he's made in his research at Tufts last summer. But here's the thing. Eric's greatest achievements are always accomplished with utter humility, and he's earned the deepest respect and love of his classmates, who always elect him to leadership and always enjoy his company. Get ready, Harvard and world. Here comes Eric.
Good morning, parents, faculty, and staff. Good morning, graduating class of 2014. It's the day we've been anticipating for years now, the day all of our nights spent studying, athletic practices, and hard work has led to. We made it. I want to thank everybody who's helped our class along the way, the teachers who inspired us, guided us, and pushed us. For each of us, our mentors have been different, but along the way, we've pursued our passions and expanded our interests. Now, every year, the graduating class opens up the time capsule, which contains items they placed in it when they were in 6th grade. We do this to gauge the changes we all experienced throughout our time at the Academy. And the only thing I really remember about trying to put something in the capsule at the time was that I had a really hard time coming up with anything at all. But last week, when I opened a letter I had written to myself in 6th grade, I was really happy I ended up putting something. Now, opening that letter was at first disconcerting. I looked at a photo of myself and I couldn't help but think how rotund I was at the time. And the first line of my letter read, "I'm incredibly angry. about the anatomy puppet project. I trust myself that that puppet project was vital to my academic performance as a 6th grader. What really struck me about the letter, though, was the degree to which some things changed and other things stayed the same. I no longer identify as a classical music-loving Harry Potter fanboy, and swimming over the years has helped me shed that baby fat. But I was astounded by what I had written about my goals and their permanence. I think everybody will get a kick out of hearing that in 6th grade I promised myself I would get into Harvard and become a doctor. So it looks like that hard work on the puppet project really paid off for me. In August, I told those of you at Convocation a story about fish, and what I really wanted to say with that speech was the importance of pursuing our passions and not really worrying about the things that don't matter. And now that we finished our last year of high school, that idea only becomes more important. And it would be incredibly easy to conclude today's speech with a series of platitudes exhorting the importance of being who we really are. But I don't think we can navigate the future simply guided by that idea. After all, what does it really mean? I don't think our idea of self should be static, but rather should be ready to react and change to what the future brings. It's also comforting to think that our academy educations have prepared us infallibly well for the future, but I think the reality is that the academy has instilled in us a belief and attitude in the value of relentless effort balanced with mindful thinking. If we're to successfully navigate the future, we can't let that slip away from us. And while the future is bright and its potential is thrilling, it also presents a series of challenges in which we all have a part to play. The problems society struggles with will engage us as we rise to meet them. Each of us will pursue something that resonates with us, but we must also remember that passion is not something that's simply found or chased, but is something that is created. We ought to seek intellectual confrontation because the best way to create passion is to work on hard problems. That inevitably means having to worry about failure or unexpected results, but that's ultimately what makes our efforts worthwhile. As we move into the future, we will have to begin taking intellectual responsibility for ourselves. We will soon ask questions instead of answer them. And we have the power to make our lives our own grand adventures, and we have the power to create happiness in the same way we can create passion. Classmates, let's work to create a new world. With deep curiosity and a promising question to work on, I'm excited to see what each of us creates. Class of 2014, I'm glad we all were a part of this formative period of our lives. I think we will all cherish our teachers in this school, and hopefully down the road, you too will have a building named after you and be on this stage. I know the coming years will only bring opportunity, the chance to shape meaning into our lives, and the chance to truly live. Congratulations to the Albuquerque Academy Class of 2014.
I'm always humbled by the student speeches, but then I'm proud because they're students who've grown up learning to speak and represent themselves like that by being with each other in the academy. Ian McKinnon, class of 1985, is our featured speaker today, continuing an 11-year tradition of asking one of our alums to provide remarks at graduation. As you read Ian's biography in the program, you can see that he's found great success in academic, business and investment, and service settings. Here, as a student, he was also highly successful as a student, a tennis player, and a chess player. And you probably also know that Ian and Sonnet made an extraordinary gift to the Academy last year, one that is propelling us forward in our current work while helping us stay strong forever, particularly as we do our best to bring students here through our financial assistance program. We dedicated McKinnon Hall in a small ceremony this morning to honor this gift forever. All of these qualities come to mind and make sense when we selected Ian as our graduation speaker. But here's the thing. I wanted Ian to speak here someday within an hour of meeting him for the first time about 10 years ago, long before I knew all the rest. Here's why. As I asked him about his work, I eventually asked the question, well, why are you the leader of such a strong team, such a strong corporation, in such a competitive environment? And his answer that first day I met him was, well, the humanities course at the academy, that's why. And then over time, I've learned that Ian is one of the only small number of investment leaders who bring a true liberal arts attitude to their work, using the connective and humanistic skills fostered in a rich, broad education to find success. So whether he's using analogous thinking from Shakespeare with his team at ZBI, or leading a group of powerful men in a book group reading The Great Gatsby, all in the hope of being better parents, Ian cuts an iconic counterexample to some of the stereotypical depictions of the finance and investment world. He's an academy finance and investment guy. A few other things I've learned. First, these same skills allow Ian to connect immediately to people in all walks of life, along with those at the pinnacle of their professions around the world. Second, Ian and Sonnet care deeply about their faith, their family, and their obligation to others in the world in words, deeds, and philanthropy. Third, Ian is humble as he serves others and makes the world a better place. And finally, Ian is a New Mexican through and through, even though his work has taken him away for some time. I hear him promote our state and defend our state, and I've watched him make a difference for families and institutions here in many ways and throughout his service on our board. And yes, Ian loves Albuquerque Academy. I'm very pleased, seniors, that you'll be sent on in life with a chance to hear from him before you go. Ian McKinnon.
Good morning, parents, faculty, my fellow trustees, and the soon-to-be graduates of the class of 2014. It's a real honor for me to be here today. 29 years ago, I sat where you're currently sitting. My ridiculous blonde mullet, yes, I had a blonde mullet, perfectly coiffed, so that I looked like the mean blonde bully, Johnny, from the original version of The Karate Kid. It's unfortunately true. But it actually occurred to me as I thought about what I might want to say for today, that I have utterly no idea who was my speaker that day. And I realized the same was true for my college and business school graduations. And then it further occurred to me, I've been to about 20 graduations, and I only remember one speaker, and that was Bill Cosby, which means I'm toast. So what I've decided to do, since I can't compete at all with Bill Cosby, and I definitely can't compete with Mackenzie, Claire, and Eric, what is that about? Why do I have to follow them? What I can do is keep my remarks really short. So, yes, I thought that would get some applause. So I promise, and I'm looking at my grandfather's turquoise watch, which I wear only on very special occasions, that I will only speak for 15 more minutes. So if you give me your attention the next 15 minutes, let's see if we can get somewhere. Okay. So now I have 14 minutes, 55 seconds to try to make an impression. I'm going to introduce a homegrown acronym, SFF, or SF squared, for those of you more mathematically inclined, to organize my comments. Since I want to try to keep your attention and pique your curiosity, I'm not even going to reveal right away what each letter means. Instead, I'm going to draw it out in what I hope will be tantalizing 3 or 4 minute intervals, which will leave me about 3 minutes at the end to do something pretty special, which I think you'll like too. So SF squared is a shorthand way of referring to the lessons that 3 extraordinary figures from history taught us. I'll give a brief introduction about each person, and then I'll describe their contribution to SF squared. When I'm finished, I hope you'll agree that even when you've long forgotten me, because you will, SF squared will still have an impact upon how you view the world. Before we dive in, however, let me allow a very brief diversion on the importance of history. And it actually resonates with the comments Andy made about the liberal arts, although we didn't coordinate any of this. I've always been fond of the phrase attributed to Mark Twain, History doesn't repeat itself, but it does rhyme. We can learn profound lessons about today and make far more accurate judgments about the future simply by closely studying the past. This is especially true of historical figures, which is why I think it's so important to read biographies of them as wonderful prisms through which to view different eras. I've obviously studied a great deal of economics and finance for my profession, and they're truly indispensable for what I do, but I would rank history as even more important. With that plug for the importance of history out of the way, let's now turn our attention to the lessons these three historical figures can teach us and how they relate to SF squared. So the first person is Madame Marie Curie, the Polish and naturalized French physicist and chemist, who was the chief developer of core theories centering upon radioactivity. Indeed, radioactivity was a term that she herself coined. She was the first woman to win a Nobel Prize, physics in 1903, and because that wasn't enough, she also won the Nobel Prize in chemistry in 1911. She's the only woman to win it in two fields. She was truly an extraordinary, inspirational woman, but I'm already starting to run short of time, so I'll dispense with a further biographical depiction. So what does Marie Curie have to do with SF squared? Well, the S stands for struggle. Curie had to struggle her whole life for legitimacy and respect. Don't forget, Curie won her 2 Nobel Prizes before women even earned the right to vote in this country in 1920. In fact, she had to surreptitiously attend college, as women weren't then allowed to attend regular institutions of higher learning. She and her sister, to whom she was very close, attended Flying University, an underground university in Warsaw, and when we're finished, please Google it, it's an amazing story, that admitted women students. Curie didn't allow injustice and prejudice to stop her. She struggled for what was right, and she ascended to the pinnacle of science. As many of you know, Curie died in 1934 of radiation poisoning from her work with X-rays. So it's literally true that her dream took her life. But this doesn't diminish for me in any way her shining example of fighting the good fight. She will always be one of my heroes, and I hope she will now be one of yours as well. To be clear, it's not what she accomplished that moves me so much, but that is ridiculous. Rather, it's the spirit with which she did it. I've always believed that one of the keys to finding fulfillment in life is to focus on process rather than outcomes. Because outcomes are a function of a mysterious mixture of skill, randomness, luck, but process you can control. If you focus on process, outcomes will take care of themselves. This describes Madame Curie to a T. She struggled for what was right and achieved greatness by any measure. So we've now covered 1/3 of SF squared, and we're right on time. The second lesson, so we have struggle first. The second lesson comes from Abraham Lincoln, who obviously needs no introduction. Hands down, the greatest American president, Lincoln is ubiquitous in our zeitgeist, as his face adorns the $5 bill, the penny, and Mount Rushmore. He even has an aircraft carrier named after him, which, let's all admit, is pretty cool. We're all familiar with the extraordinary accomplishments of Lincoln, from his leadership of our nation through the Civil War to the ratification of the 13th Amendment to the US Constitution that abolished slavery. How many of you have seen Steven Spielberg's Lincoln, in which Daniel Day-Lewis won the Oscar for Best Actor for his magnificent portrayal of Lincoln? For those unfortunate members of the audience who haven't yet had a chance to see the movie, you must do it today. It centers on Lincoln's cunning and even Machiavellian efforts to get the 13th Amendment ratified. The amendment is so beautiful in its simplicity that I think I'll take this moment, because it's worth the time, to recite its 2 sections, as I promise they'll give you chills, and then you'll really remember what the SF is for Lincoln. Section 1. neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, except as punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States or any place subject to their jurisdiction. Boom. Section 2. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. But what does this have to do with SF squared? What does the first F stand for? Well, it will seem counterintuitive, but F, in the case of Lincoln, stands for fail. For all his accomplishments, few people understand that Lincoln failed miserably early and often in his business and political career. There's a great deal of scholarly research on the remarkable perseverance of Lincoln as he suffered repeated, sometimes devastating setbacks early in life. Roger Knapp produced the following sketch of some of the major roadblocks Lincoln had to overcome en route to the White House, and I thought I would tick a few off. 1832, ran for the state legislature, lost. 1833, borrowed money from a friend to start a business, went bankrupt, had to spend 17 years paying off the loan. 1836, nervous breakdown, was in bed for 6 months. 1838, sought to become Speaker of the state legislature, defeated. 1846, ran for Congress again. This time he won, went to Washington, did a great job. 1848, ran for re-election to Congress, lost. 1854, ran for Senate of the United States, lost. 1856, sought the vice presidential nomination at his party's national convention, and he got fewer than 100 votes. 1858, ran for U.S. Senate. Yep, he lost again. And then 1860, elected president of the United States. While failure stings and it feels awful at the time, it carries the indispensable benefit of teaching humility, which is one of the keys to really deep learning. One of the world's top companies, Google, explicitly screens for humility in their applicants, in part because humility opens the door to considering alternative, conflicting points of view. Sincere humility, by the way, makes you a lot more fun to be around. So I've interviewed hundreds of MBA graduates from the top business schools around the world, and I always look for those that have failed in some real, undeniable ways. Please take this lesson to heart. Failure is one of the greatest blessings you can have. Push yourself, establish stretch goals, take on projects that exceed your ability. That's one way you can really grow. Don't get me wrong. Sometimes discretion is the better part of valor, and it makes sense to play it safe. But please make sure you take chances from time to time, and when you fall flat on your face, get up, dust yourself off, put on a few Band-Aids, and go at it again. To quote Vince Lombardi, the legendary football coach of the Green Bay Packers, Andy, I had to quote Vince Lombardi. In great attempts, it is glorious even to fail. In this wonderful season of graduation speeches, echoing a theme that I think Claire touched upon, I think I'm one of the very few speakers that will exhort his audience to fail as early and often as possible. But I promise it will sow the seeds for growth and success. Who knows, you may even learn to fail as well as Lincoln and become president of the United States. All right, so now we have 2/3 of SF squared, struggle and fail, under our belts. The third letter and second F stands for forgive. And Nelson Mandela, another one of my heroes, will be our teacher. Mandela, who passed away last year at the age of 95, stands as one of the great examples of the potency of forgiveness. After being imprisoned for 27 years, much of it under horrific conditions, for fighting against apartheid and seeking equal treatment under the law for white and black South Africans alike, he was finally released from prison in 1990 as a 71-year-old man. It would have been entirely understandable, perfectly natural even, for him to have been furious and embittered at the system that had taken away his liberty for so long. Instead, he realized he had an opportunity to heal his nation by preaching the power of forgiveness to friends and foes alike. He worked with President F.W. de Klerk to legislate the end of apartheid and establish multiracial elections. For his efforts, Mandela won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1993 and then went on to become South Africa's first truly democratically elected president in 1994. In many quarters, he's considered the father of South Africa. It's obviously the case that South Africa remains mired in many kinds of crises, both economic and humanitarian. But without the healing balm of Mandela's message of hope, inclusiveness, equality under the law, and economic opportunity, the nation may well have exploded in bloody civil war. One of the more amazing things about Mandela is that he fully recognized that if he failed to forgive his captors, he would remain under their control. His own words ring powerfully in this regard. As I walked out the door toward the gate that would lead to my freedom, I knew if I didn't leave my bitterness and hatred behind, I would still be in prison. Mandela's insight is so powerful, yet so many of us find ourselves unable to let go of bitterness. I know it remains a challenge for me to this day. Yet we must learn to forgive. And if you, as young adults, can begin this journey now, you have a real shot at attaining the freedom that forgiveness can bring. My wonderful minister from Greenwich, Neely Tao, said something during a Sunday sermon many years ago that I will never forget. She said, "Never, ever underestimate the power of forgiveness." I think if Mandela had been sitting next to me that day, he would have stood up and cheered. So now we have all three constituents of SF squared: struggle, fail, and forgive. One of the most important aspects of this trio is that they work to reinforce each other and set off what can become a virtuous cycle of learning and self-improvement. If you omit any of the three components, the cycle can break down and the flywheel aspect of the momentum can be lost. So make sure you keep your mind on all three. In this regard, think of SF squared as a lifelong undertaking in which each successive of struggling, failing, and forgiving leads to greater understanding and awareness. I think it's important to say a brief additional word. Don't worry, I'm watching my time, right on time, about our three teachers, Curry, Lincoln, and Mandela. Ah, what a trio. Curry, Lincoln, and Mandela. While we rightly celebrate their wonderful qualities, they were obviously not perfect and suffered from many human weaknesses. Some even did things in their youth that nearly all of us would condemn as foolhardy or even worse. Yet their very flaws are what make them so inspirational. They had quirks, faults, weaknesses, just like we do. To celebrate their extraordinary accomplishments is to recognize that we can all rise above our bad qualities. It seems relevant in this regard to reflect one more time on the power of the third component of SF squared, forgive. An English poet, Alexander Pope, I'm almost finished, don't worry. Remember, my mom was a poet, so I grew up loving and respecting poetry, had perhaps the most famous line about forgiveness. To err is human, to forgive divine. Or if you'll allow me to reference Mark Twain again, this is really one of my favorites. Forgiveness is the fragrance the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it. I have to say that one more time. Forgiveness is the fragrance the violet sheds on the heel that crushed it. We'd all be better off, I'd venture to say, if we could learn to forgive the faults of our friends, enemies, heroes, and yes, even ourselves. The latter is perhaps the toughest of all, but it's a journey I hope you start today. Let's see if we can all be a bit more like the violet and a little less like the heel. So I told you in the beginning of my remarks that I was going to do something very special with the final 3 minutes of today's speech, and that time has come. I think you'll agree that we had three excellent teachers in Curry, Lincoln, and Mandela to bring the qualities of SF squared to life. But there's one other teacher whom I haven't yet had a chance to discuss. Sorry, Daryl, you knew this was coming. He's sitting in the audience today, And he had absolutely no clue that I was going to ambush him after Andy ambushed him with a tribute. He'll probably be very upset with me for doing this, but remember, I just gave a speech on forgiveness, so please forgive me. I just couldn't allow this moment to pass without recognizing one of the finest people, teachers, mentors, coaches I've ever known. I just spent a big part of my talk on forgiveness, and I laugh because Daryl will still have trouble forgiving me, but I say, please do. Daryl began teaching at the Academy a mere 49 years ago, 2 years before I was born. During his extraordinary career here, he taught over 3,100 students, and oh, by the way, coached his teams to 9 state championships in tennis, the most in New Mexico history. Woo! My co-conspirator in this tribute, Andy Watson, somehow unearthed a letter from Daryl to Ashby Harper dated January 8th, 18. Now he's really going to have to forgive me. Those Freudian slips come at the worst time, don't they? January 8th, 1965, in which Daryl stated, "From all indications, Albuquerque Academy would appear to be going places fast. And with you at the reins, I might enjoy the trip myself. We all hope you enjoyed the trip, Daryl, as you've touched our lives in ways we'll never forget." Well, my 15 minutes are about up. So it's time for me to leave the stage. I think I'll close with a brief public service announcement regarding this wonderful city of Albuquerque and our great state of New Mexico. I've been blessed to live in many fabulous places, including Los Angeles, Boston, San Francisco. I'm especially fond of San Francisco, by the way, and of course, New York. But it's New Mexico that I will always consider my real home. There are many reasons why my home state has such a powerful, indestructible hold on me, including the wonderful people, our rich cultural history, our celebration of diversity of all kinds, and of course, the best red and green chili in the world. Okay. But there is one other, more subtle reason I want to share with you today. It's something that has gradually dawned on me over the years, and I only recently became clear about it. New Mexico imbued me with a formidable competitive advantage in my career, and I suggest it will do the same for all of you. The competitive advantage is simple. More than any other place I've lived or visited, New Mexico inspires creativity. There's a reason, after all, why two professions that are often seen as polar opposites, art and physics, thrive here. While their ultimate objectives are obviously quite different, both of them are, at their cores, profoundly creative undertakings. Have you ever stopped to think about how unusual and absolutely wonderful it is that Santa Fe, one of the leading centers of the arts in the world, and Los Alamos, one of the leading centers for advanced physics, coexist only 30 miles apart from each other? I think one of the reasons is that New Mexico, in its openness to new ideas, its unparalleled natural beauty, arouses both sides of our brains, the analytical and the creative. This can lead to all kinds of breakthrough insights, whether in art, physics, or whichever career you ultimately choose. To cite another example from current events, consider Google. I've mentioned Google 3 times in this talk. Google's recent acquisition of Titan Aerospace, the solar-powered drone aircraft startup in Moriarty. Those of us from here aren't surprised at all that such a beautiful fusing of artistic design and aeronautical engineering came from here. But I know that many of my counterparts on Wall Street said, "Where in the world is Moriarty?" when they saw this news on the wires. And it was very fun to me to gloat that day, I have to say. Since we've been talking about physics, let me suggest an experiment along these lines. Sometime this summer, when you're a newly minted Albuquerque Academy graduate, Try immersing yourself in something uniquely New Mexican, from a hike down La Luz Trail at sunset to an expedition through Carlsbad Caverns. While you're so immersed, think about a problem or a question that's been bothering you. Let yourself go and soak in all the stimuli to which your senses are being subjected. Although I can't promise that the solution will magically appear to you, I can promise that you'll be on the path towards some greater understanding. Some of my best investment ideas have come from long walks on the trails adjacent to our home in Santa Fe, as I stared at the majestic Sangre de Cristo Mountains as pinon and sage mingled to enchant my nose. I'm convinced there really is something in the environment here that harnesses both reason and intuition, and that you can harness that as well. Speaking of physics, Albert Einstein said something profound about how powerful the combination of reason and intuition can be. The intuitive mind is a sacred gift, and the rational mind is a faithful servant. We have created a society that honors the servant and has forgotten the gift. Whenever you're stumped by what seems to be an intractable problem or obstacle, I hope that you'll remember this talk and open your minds to all sorts of potential solutions that marry your intuitive flashes with your quantitative and analytical constructs. After all, it worked pretty well for Albert Einstein. So on those wonderful occasions when this process leads to an important insight, you'll know that part of the credit goes to your being an indispensable part of the land of enchantment. Well, that's it for my comments. I hope that 29 years from now, you'll at least remember SF squared, as I'm quite confident you won't remember me. But go forth, struggle, fail, and forgive, but especially forgive. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
That was beautiful, Ian. I deeply appreciate it. Our seniors deeply appreciate it. And you know, with our tradition, that one of these seniors will be giving this speech again someday. I guess my homework, students, is that perhaps you slip SF squared into your speech when you do your speech in your 40s or 50s, maybe your 30s. It's now my pleasure to announce the winners of 3 Graduation Day Student Awards and 2 Faculty Awards. Associate Head of School Don Smith will assist me with these presentations. I should point out that as Daryl retires, Don now becomes our senior faculty member, and we'll be honoring him for years to come as well. The Class Scholar Award. The Class Scholar Award is presented to the senior attaining the highest overall academic record. This year's recipient, and also one of our country's 141 presidential scholars, is Eric Lee. The Academy Award is chosen by the students of the junior and senior class to honor qualities of leadership, loyalty, and character. This year, the award goes to Rihanna Rivas. The Head of School Award is presented to a student who exemplifies the ideals of Albuquerque Academy through spirit, citizenship, and contributions to the life of the school. This year's recipient is Ali Ogawa. The Slevin Award. Our first faculty award is the FX Slevin Award for Outstanding Teaching. This award honors the contributions of Frank Slevin to the students and faculty at Albuquerque Academy. In his 17 years of service to the school as chair of the English department, Mr. Slevin balanced rigor with compassion, promoted patient inquiry, and championed graceful expression. He was a determined generalist who displayed thoroughness, judiciousness, and great humor in all he undertook. This year's recipient of the Slevin Award is a Renaissance man, deeply connected to nature and the outdoors, to human nature, to literature and history, to technology, and to the concepts of our yearly theme of the past 2 years, make. He's always ready to lend a hand to others, particularly as we adjust to new models of teaching and technology on campus, and I always find his calm wisdom of great value when we discuss anything going on at school. There is a current movie and a monster with the same name that students have given his junior year interdisciplinary English history course, Godzilla. In this course, he models collaboration, co-teaching the course with his friend and kindred spirit, Stuart Lipkowitz. This year's Slevin Award winner, like his predecessors, changes all of our lives for the better. Thank you, Danny Packer, for the commitment, excellence, and caring you bring to our community. The Gage Award. We have a teacher named Gage around here. Our second faculty award was inaugurated 7 years ago to honor both faculty member Daryl Gage and a colleague whose life at the Academy mirrors the qualities that Daryl arrived with from St. Louis in 1965. Qualities that remain today as his legacy of teaching and collegiality continues. I'm glad that Daryl can join me on stage to continue this tradition as I read the citation. Here's the formal citation. The Gage Award was established in December 2005 to honor both the longevity of Daryl Gage's service to the Academy and the loving nature of that service. It's awarded annually to a teacher who, like Daryl, enriches the Academy community through infectious enthusiasm for his or her discipline, deep devotion to students, care for and loyalty to colleagues, positive and unflagging work ethic, understanding of the interconnectedness of a school community, and a joie de vivre. Daryl never gives up on a student, and he'll never be forgotten by those whose lives he's touched. This year's Gage Award winner is deeply loyal to his students, his athletes, and his school. Excellent in all realms of school life, he always finds the right words of encouragement when it's needed, and he celebrates success and strong efforts with memorable and heartfelt enthusiasm. There's a picture of this award recipient with his athletes last fall, filled with smiling faces, including his own, beaming with as much energy as our solar array. It's one of my favorite Academy pictures ever. You might actually find this teacher coach when he isn't in the lab, out by the solar array, encouraging his athletes. And though I have images of him running with his athletes when I first came to the Academy, I equally cherish images of him chasing after them on a bicycle these days. Beyond all this year's recipient demonstrates some of the finest sportsmanship I've ever seen at both the national and local level. It's part of his lasting legacy. When I run into those who coach against him, I hear nothing but praise. And it isn't surprising to see him writing commendations to the Journal about athletes from other schools, including St. Pius. He creates a oneness with all those whose path he crosses, in contradiction to the otherness that athletics sometimes overstates when rivalries develop. I'm very proud to honor Adam Kedge as this year's Gage Award winner. And now, the reason we've gathered. Assisting with the diploma presentations will be Associate Head of School and Division Head Don Smith, Assistant Head of School Stephanie Lipkowitz, Division Heads Sonia Roth, Chris Deneen, and Martha Palmer, Dean of Students David Kim and Senior Class Dean Michael Sullivan, with Sonia Roth taking the podium to bring our students to the stage. Presiding over this moment and validating the successful completion of our academic program will be past parent and selfless chairman of our Board of Trustees, Walter Stern.
The Academy's mission states in part, we believe that children's lives change when their natural passion for learning is nurtured and transformed into habits of lifelong learning and reflection. We believe that the world changes as these children learn to serve country and community with wisdom, conviction, and compassion. As I make the following declaration, we entrust the Academy's mission to you, our new graduates, no longer children, but now young women and men, with the clear-eyed and looking around the audience, in the case of some parents, perhaps misty-eyed, belief that you will indeed serve our country, our community, and our world with that wisdom and conviction and compassion. By the power vested in me by the Board of Trustees of the Albuquerque Academy, I hereby declare that the members of the class of 2014 have fulfilled their requirements and are now to be forever known as graduates of the Albuquerque Academy.
Would the class of 2014 please prepare to receive their diplomas? Aubriana Mercedes Alderete. Kirsten Grace Anderson. Claire Janine Archibek. Megan Irene Armijo. Faculty member Emeritus Joe Armijo will assist in awarding the diploma. Erin Elizabeth Ashlock. Michelle Adriana Baca, cum laude. Lucy Elizabeth Bartel, cum laude. Robin Catherine Bartel. Karina Idali Bincomo. Raina Lee Burdine. Sophia Elena Bernal. Sarah Linda Blogg, cum laude. Molly Jane Bloom. Anthony Joseph Borak. Jessica Lee Bregman. Brooks Marie Brennan. Kiara Ciel Martin Brokaw. Colby Roger Brown. Savannah Cara Bustillo, cum laude. Megan Sierra Cadigan, cum laude. Alexis Ruth Carey, longtime Academy announcer Brent Carey will assist in awarding the diploma. Ian Santiago Carrillo. Kyle Rocco Carroza. Trustee Ann Carroza will assist in awarding the diploma. Ramiro Carvajal Marquez. Brenna Lee Cecil. Michael Adrian Chavez. Christian Alexander Cho, cum laude. Benjamin Thomas Christensen. Calvin Michael Klatanoff, cum laude. Lauren Victoria Cruz. Reed Philip Cunningham. Dana Luann Diamond. Jared Benjamin Dominguez Trujillo. Natalie Elizabeth Dubois, cum laude. Ryan Cunningham Dunn. Alexander Chase Dunning. Claire Nicole Eberly. Clinton William Ewell. Morgan Gable Findley. Calvary Colin Fisher. Mackenzie Jotina Elizabeth Fowler. Sarah Ann Galanti. Sarah Rachel Gallegos, cum laude. Felice Dakota Garcia Martinez. Anjique Ghosh. Nicholas Andres Giddings. Patrick Dugan Goff, cum laude. Zoe Alana Goldblum, cum laude. Aaron James Gomez. Gavin Paul Gonzalez. Jesse Orion Gonzalez. Marla Rose Gridley. Savannah Lynn Grossman. Jessica Charlotte Grubasic, cum laude. Stephen Frank Guido. Samuel Jackson Hart. Amir Basil Hassan. David Graham Hatley. Aiden Himmelstein Hendrickson. Andrew Michael Herman. Gustav Parker Hibbett. Madeline Krista Higgins. Brandon Wayne Hillhouse. Theodore Augustus Hooker. Emily Allison Hopkins. Yushra Michelle Hossein. Caressa Ann Howard. Ariel Mailing Hurwitz. Talia Alice Inbar. Zachary Elliott Jameson Cash. Brian Matthew Jaramillo. Catherine Annette Gilson, cum laude. Trustee Chris Gilson will assist in awarding the diploma. Cody Ken Kamrowski. Raya Rivka Correa, cum laude. Oh, we're out of order. Okay. Cheyenne Sky Lacey. Blake Fraser LaCourciere. Nikolai Leander Lawton, cum laude. Eric Haocheng Lee, cum laude. Jamie Yongxing Lin. William Dylan James Longenbaugh. Alicia Nicole Lazoya. Julia B. Liu, cum laude. Andres Diego Lucero. Emma Gabriela Lucero. Staff member Jean Lucero will assist in awarding the diploma. Ann Elizabeth Lutz. Jordan Ann Majeski, cum laude. Mackenzie O'Loughlin Manch. Christopher Robert Martin. Kelsey Elizabeth Main. Faculty member Jeremy Main will assist in awarding the diploma. Noah James McKinney. Mason Alexander Malott. Staff member Mark Malott will assist in awarding the diploma. Logan Tate Meredith, cum laude. Sally Madani, cum laude. Kaylin Connor Miller. Sarah Jonna Montoya. Sean Alexander Moore. Raquel Elise Moya. Trustee Ronald Moya will assist in awarding the diploma. Riley Robert Mullaney. Don Ton Nguyen. Din Kung Wang Win. Jacob Anthony Noel. Allison Harrison Ogawa, cum laude. Ryan Lynn Ormisher, cum laude. Stephen Douglas Otero. Marisa Stabile Phillips. Matthew Calvin Pick. Lucas Sanchez Preisler. Matthew William Ritchie. Rihanna Nicole Rivas. Samuel John Roberts Baca. Cody James Roberts. Carlo Angelo Rodriguez. Philip Joseph Romero. Mary Catherine Rosbrum. Dakota Kai Roth. Abigail Lynn Rickman, cum laude. Joel Thomas Sachs. Aliska Charisse Seiss, cum laude. Brianna Ann Solis. Wesley Blair Scanlon. Zoe Catherine Scott Nevros. Elise Marie Senna. Rebecca Rose Sherry. Samuel James Shoemaker Trejo. Mara Temple Short, cum laude. Faculty member Diane Short will assist in awarding the diploma. Chelsea Evangeline Schroff. Walker Cody Simpson. Philip Hans Smith. Nathan Kyle Smith. Chase Harlan Snyder. Aiden Bennett Sorge. Nicholas Allen Spahn. Carlos Javier Spiegel. Madeline Sayers Stockton, cum laude. Travis Rain Talcott, trustee Judy Beckus Talcott, will assist in awarding the diploma. Megan Lynn Twyford. Sid Urgola. Maria Anita Vigil, cum laude. Matthew Allen Vining. Staff member Marie Vining will assist in awarding the diploma. Maya Tatiana Walensky. Nicholas Dickinson Wells. Noah James Weig Pickering. Alicia Michelle Williams, cum laude. Staff member Jane Williams will assist in awarding the diploma and stay on stage for the remaining 2 diplomas, or 2 more diplomas. Megan Amanda Williams, cum laude. Stephanie Danielle Williams, cum laude. Clay Barrett Wynn. Trustee Hope Mead Wynn will assist in awarding the diploma. Kevin Michael Weiss. Amy Rusine Ye. And last but not least, Katiana Krista Zaffary. Members of the class of 2014, in preparing my closing remarks, I talked to your grade dean and her assistant, and they wanted me to tell you this. You will be remembered around here as the class who liked to play together. This year alone, there were hundreds, if not thousands, of chess games in the Commons. There were invented games. There was a basketball hoop that was brought in and put in the amphitheater. But while you have been playful, you've also been an emotionally mature group. You've always rallied around your classmates, and you have always sought to make everybody feel included, and we cannot thank you more for doing that. In short, you are a creative, kind, and thoughtful group of human beings, and you are the class that constantly says thank you. So we send you on your way, and we thank you in return. Come back often. This will always be your second home. Members of the Board of Trustees, faculty, staff, parents, family, and friends, I present to you the class of 2014.